Okay, so Ibn Ata'illah is a very famous Sufi scholar, and I took out some of his quotes that we can go over together. So, not all of them, some of them are confusing even to myself actually. Can you just confirm if you can hear me, those of you who are online? Okay. So, what is the first thing he says? One of the signs of relying on one's own deeds is the loss of hope when a downfall occurs. So, why can we not rely on our own deeds? What does this mean? What does he mean to say? So, here are your good deeds that you're doing. And let's suppose for some reason, in at one point in your life, those go down. So, for example, you did X, Y, Z, and now you're only able to do X. And for some reason, maybe Z was very close to you, but you're not able to put in time. Maybe it was tahajjud or something that you did for someone else, and you're unable to do it. So, those good deeds that you're unable to do, and for a long period of time. So, let's suppose you're like, no, I'll start doing them, but now months have passed and you're unable to do them. So, you feel dejected. You feel sort of hopeless that I may never be able to do Z again, right? So, why is he saying that if you feel despair over this situation that you were doing XYZ, but now you feel despair that perhaps I'm no good or I can't do it anymore? He's saying if this happens, it's actually your good deeds that you were relying on. So this word reliance in Arabic, usually what do we use? Tawakkul, right? Or Urdu में भी ये word use होता है. So, what is he implying? What should have the reliance been on, if not your own deeds? आपने क्लास में आना था हिदायतुल्लाह. तीन
मैम बस मेरी
5 में से भी सिर्फ 2 लोग आए हैं, and the TA is here.
नो
So, all
मैम
right.
सॉरी असल में मेरी
So, I'm not
शटल
giving
मिस हो गई मैम
that. That's up to Zainab. ठीक है? Okay. तो reliance good deeds पे नहीं होने चाहिए थे, किस पर होने चाहिए थे? It's a very important question. If you're doing a good deed, why are we doing it? What was the idea of ikhlas in our deen? हाँ जी लगा दें. तो अगर आप ओके हाँ डिस्कनेक्ट यानी जूम चलता रहेगा जब तक आप कनेक्ट करें कि नहीं या उसमें
जी जी बिल्कुल आपका
तो सही है.
चलता रहेगा. क्लोज
ये मैं तो कर लूँ क्लोज क्या करना सॉरी Right. So Rida is saying on Allah. So the reliance should have been on Allah. And what does that mean? It means when you're doing good deeds, right? Yes, you're doing them with an intention to please Allah. Right. So we do good deeds to please Allah. That's what Muzammil is saying. Now, when you're unable to do them, you're sort of depending on your ability to do good deeds. And because you're unable to do them, you feel bad. Okay? Now, to a certain extent, it's fine to feel bad because essentially what it means is that despair tak baat nahi jani chahiye. Despair means that you have sort of given up on yourself. Okay? So it becomes negative. So what he's saying essentially is that your reliance should have been on the fact that I'm doing, yes, these good deeds, but it's Allah who will accept them. And that's why the scholar said it's sort of like a magnet to the mercy of Allah. All any good deed that we do is not in itself enough to take us to heaven, right? It's actually a magnet of Allah's mercy. Magnet to Allah's mercy or for? For probably. So yes, the reliance is instead on Allah. This is what he is saying. So there shouldn't be a loss of hope, i.e., there shouldn't be despair when a downfall occurs. And a person needs to keep trying, right? So it's interesting because if you look at it in a psychological, from a psychological lens, despair doesn't lead you anywhere. Okay? If you start losing hope or you have despair, you sort of give up on anything that you can do. तो ये असल चीज़ ये है कि आप ये देखें कि end product क्या है. If your, let's suppose, sadness over not being able to do something entails you to work harder and eventually get that, then that's a good thing, right? लेकिन अगर वो sadness आपको despair की तरफ लेकर जा रही है, तो that's a negative thing in our deen. Okay. That's a good point by Rida. Can you guys, okay, you can't see it. So Rida is saying that we do not know if our deed is a good deed unless it is a good deed in the eyes of Allah. So that's another reason you're not supposed to depend on your good deeds. You're doing them with the right intention. But again, you just keep doing them because at the end of the day, it can be the smallest, tiniest thing that you've done. The things that you thought were important might not be important. And the smallest thing you did for something, for an animal, giving them water if they were thirsty, the tiniest thing could have been in Allah's eyes the greatest thing that you did. So that's what he's saying. Don't rely on your good deeds. Instead, rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So this reliance is important. Where are we placing our tawakkul? Okay, not on our own ability to do good deeds, but on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sign. Okay, we're just going to do two of these. Your desire for isolation. I think we did this in another, in probably a reading of ours. जी करते हैं start. यहाँ से I'll sign out. There's only the option to end. It should be leave the meeting. All right. Sign and leave. Why isn't it proposed?